Hey guys, welcome along to the show. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart, and we're getting into a little chat about Angel, Season 1, Episode 6. This one's called Sense and Sensitivity. Now this here is a great little episode. Good bit of comedy thrown in here for good measure, and just the situations that the main characters get themselves into. There is a sense of threat throughout the episode, but it's very it's done very tongue in cheek, let's just say. So yeah, Kate Lockley comes back into this episode. At the beginning of it, this guy's getting chased down the street, and you see this figure, blonde hair, chasing him, and you almost think it's Buffy at a time, but it's very quickly revealed to be Kate Lockley, the policewoman. And as this guy reaches his car, she catches up with him. Flying kick, smashes him against the open door of the car. This is the reveal who it is. She seems to be pretty happy that he's not been cooperative, and she roughs him up a little bit. And we cut back to the interrogation room at her precinct, and she has this guy Spivvy looking at photographs showing that he was in the company of a mob boss called Anthony Papazian, also known as Little Tony. And she tells Spivvy that the photos were taken on the same day as a county supervisor was killed. It's all tied to Little Tony. Well, Little Tony's tied to the murder. This guy, he denies any knowledge of the hit, and this guy claims that he hasn't seen Little Tony since that day. Through a one-way mirror, there's a lot of policemen watching her and what she's doing, and they're wondering, how can she be going for so long? Like, does this woman ever need to pee, more or less? Just then, Kate changes tactics, and she slams Spivvy against the wall in a chokehold, demand to know where this guy's at, this mob boss, Little Tony. The guys that are in the other room keeping an eye, they rush in, pull her away from him, and Harlan, the other policeman, he takes Kate out into the hall, and the other couple of cops, they keep an eye on this other guy that's in the room. Kate admits that she can't get Spivvy to talk, and Harlan says, any lack of any other way to locate Papazian. God, that didn't sound right at all the way I said that. He's more or less, if we can't get anything out of him, we're not going to find this guy Papazian. We should have got you out there ages ago, and she's kind of apologetic for how she was roughing him up. But, this guy also knows that the stress is on her. And, again, should have been taken out in a good bit beforehand. So she thinks she knows someone that might be able to get hold of this guy. They've used all the resources they can think of to track this guy down, and she thinks, alright, somebody I know might be able to do it. And of course, she's thinking an Angel. So we cut over, Angel's fighting this massive demon down in the sewers, and you don't actually see the body of the thing, you just see the tentacled arms and legs of it, let's just say. Doyle and Cordelia turn up and throw him a sword, and there's Angel's like, it's about time, and Doyle, he's like, there's not as many enchanted swordsmiths open at this time of the night. So, this enchanted sword is the key to killing this thing, so Angel hacks and stabs, cutting arms off the monster, then stabs it, and we take it to be its chest, and he then leaves Doyle and Cordelia to dismember it, and he strides off down the hall. He says, remember to cut off all the tentacles this time and whatnot. And after he disappears, Cordelia starts to complain to Doyle that Angel didn't want to say please or thank you throughout the whole thing. And just because he's a creature of the night and whatnot. Does it give him license to be rude and insensitive? And with the when she's going on about how out of touch Angel is and how insensitive he is to what's going around him and his surroundings, in the background, just out of focus, you can see a tentacle of this monster isn't fully dead yet, grabs hold of Doyle and puts him into like a choke, and she's still having a little moan to herself about, can you say clueless? Wait, talking about Angel, you know, he's so out of touch and he doesn't know what's going on around him. Can you say clueless? And this is just a nice, funny little start to the three main characters in the episode. So that's it. We get into the credits of the show at that point, and I love the theme tune to the show. Great. Cordelia and Doyle get back to the office. They're covered in slime and stuff from this monster, and Angel comes in to talk to them, and she refuses to take any orders from him unless he asks them how the dismembering went. And Angel's like, you need to call your mother. So yeah, she's like, we're not doing any more jobs, we're not going to cut anything up, we're not going to go fight any demons until you ask us, blah 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 blah. But call your mother. She called you, she wants you to call her back. Just then, Kate Lockley, the police officer, turns up, and Angel takes her into the office, and Angel quips, Mr. and Mrs. Spock need to go and mind meld now. So there's a lot of nice little pop culture references pop up in the show every once in a while. This is one of them. A nice little nod to Star Trek, which I appreciate. Angel sits down at the desk, and he's looking through photos of this guy, little Tony. He agrees to return Kate's past favours by finding little Tony for her, but Kate tells him that he'll get paid for the job because it's not a favour. Angel speculates that Kate doesn't want to get the reputation for going outside of the department, but she's like, I don't want to get the reputation for getting you killed. Of course, at this point, she still doesn't know that he's a vampire. As far as she's concerned, he's just a private investigator with a lack of an investigator's license. So she let that ride because he saved his life, or he saved her life in a previous episode. So Kate writes down a phone number and a card, instructs him to, if you find him, get to safety. After he calls her, just tell her where the location's at. So while Cordelia and Angel are helping Angel search for information on this guy, Doyle encourages Angel to express appreciation for Cordelia's efforts, which he tries to do. But yeah, it's a very awkward attempt, and Cordelia's like, Liam, more or less. Doyle finds the police reports of victims washing up at Angel's behest. The thing that Angel has, and I didn't really cover it much in a prior episode, but it was hunting down this demon or vampire, some sort, in a prior episode, and there's a section of the episode where they're researching on the habits and the way killers think and whatnot, because he's fighting for good now, has a soul back. It doesn't mean that he doesn't understand the mindset or the evil that these people are capable of and how he would go about it if he were in their position, because at one point or another in history he probably done worse. So he has an idea to check the tidal flow on the coast and whatnot, and maybe there's a primary dumping ground for the victims of this guy. So yeah, they find the reports of victims washing up at various points, and yeah, he kind of figures it out in pretty short order where this guy's at. So back at the police station, Kate's father, Trevor Lockley, he comes up into the office, and he's almost surprised and uncomfortable, and Kate calls him over, asking why he didn't let her know he was coming down. Kate listens to a little. Lockley dismisses her as errand to bring in completed retirement paperwork. This is obvious from the get-go between these two. This is a father-daughter relationship that is, let's just say, strained, to say the very least. So he's very standoffish of his daughter. And, you think of paperwork now, you just wait till you retire. And, Kit nevertheless takes advantage of the opening to let her father know that she's aware of the party that his friends are going to be throwing for him at the Blue Bar in a couple of days, and that she's been asked to say a few words. And, he's like, that would be okay. So, another detective calls her, lets her know, you've got a call, and her father takes off. She goes to take the call. Of course, it's Angel. He's letting her know that he's located little Tony on a pier in San Pedro. And Kit says she's on her way. She tells Angel to get the hell out of there. But the moment she disconnects and the phone call, Angel hears the sound of a motorboat coming. And, a yacht, more or less, small yacht, approaching. And he's like, he's going to get away here. So he gets this hat and a Hawaiian shirt that probably belongs to Doyle's. It was in his car. Angel walks up to the start of the little comedy moments here in the episode where it's dark, it's night time whenever this scene takes place, and these guys are waiting for this boat to turn up to get him out of the city, God knows where. And Angel just walks up and stands beside them, and he introduces himself to little Tony and this other goon that he has with him, and he pretends that he thinks the yacht is the boat trip to Catalina. So the mob boss is like, I don't like this guy, get rid of him. But as this guy Benny takes a swing at him, Angel takes him out in one punch. Papazian's other goon, who had spun around at first sound of Angel's voice, manages to throw a few punches before getting one down himself. Now that he's got no muscle, little Tony tries to make a run for it. This is just when Kate arrives with a mess load of police cars with her, takes Papazian into custody, and after he's cuffed, put him to the back of the squad car. Kate gets into Angel for not leaving, but for actively putting himself in danger, as well as giving her something that she'll need to explain to her lieutenant. Angel's kind of protesting that he's going to get away, had to do something. But Kit remains annoyed at him, and so they take him back in the squad car. Pulls away from the pier, and Papazian and Angel exchange a look, and a real glare at each other as the car drives past. Back at the station, Papazian demands his phone call, and we discover now that his lawyers are indeed Wolfram and Hart, and this is the first time in the series we're going to get a little bit of a deeper look into this company and what they're capable of and what to do. We already know that they're on the side of the vampires, at least in the opening episode, and Lee Mercer, a lawyer at Wolfram and Hart, he's already arranged for the thorn on his side to be removed. At this point we're led to believe as the viewer, or we're told pretty much in the phone call, shown, not just told, that the thorn on his side is indeed Lockley. So, arriving at the precinct sometime later, Mercer petitions to have little Tony transferred to another facility, claiming that his client was mistreated and abused by the police, and as yet unnamed assailant, meaning Angel, possibly working with Kate. They just deny any. Kate just tries to deny such knowledge. She then reverts to her usual bad cop interrogation skills. She's given Mercer and Papazian all the ammunition they need. They're playing her into a corner here. This is exactly what they were going for. And yes, she's in her last nerve and falls for it altogether. So Mercer threatens to expose the department's brutality, and everything to the court of public opinion unless all his clients' demands are met. So I cut back over to Angel Investigations, and Cordelia congratulates Angel on completing a straightforward job for a change, without any demons or whatnot. But Angel, he thinks little Tony is planning something. Again, he's got an inside sort of way of looking at these types of people. Not, well, it doesn't just have to be demons, but humans. Just the evil nature of people. He's got his intuition is spot on, but he doesn't. Cordelia even says to him, it amazes me how highly attuned you are to born old evil, but you didn't even notice something as obvious as her new shoes. Angel's about to go on to a rant about, men don't notice that sort of thing. That's what he was going to start onto, but he doesn't get to say it at that point. As he's just about to go into it, Doyle breezes on through the door, and the first thing he says, Cordelia, new shoes. He then tells Angel his report, that what Angel's thinking about spot on, according to his source. Little Tony is planning something. Angel's like, what is it? And he says, little Tony's planning something. That's all I got. So a little bit more humour there. It's just very, not on the nose. Just there's a lot of things there in this episode, and a lot of the writing in Angel, to be fair, whether it be a little joke just slipped in under the radar, just very subtly. Back over the city a little bit, Kate, she heads to the Blue Bar after work, where a number of fellow officers are there to congratulate her and finally apprehend little Tony. To her surprise, even her father buys her a drink, and Kate brings it over to sit down beside him at his booth. Not long after, this guy we seen earlier in the episode, our policeman Harlan, comes over to her table to show her a memo about a mandatory sensitivity training seminar that all the officers have to go for. Doesn't matter who you are, you have to go to this thing now, and it's required to attend because of the way she treated little Tony. So, yes, next day, they're all in this room. Kate's there. All the other officers. The seminar begins when its leader, Alan, candidly admits that no one else in the room actually wants to be there. Like, I understand, this is crap. You don't want to be here, but, it is what it is. We have to do it. And then he starts to describe how he will make these sessions worth their time. This police officer, he then introduces him to the concept of a talking stick. And it's like a little branch, about 2 to 3 feet long, 2.5, 3 feet long. And he's like, whoever holds this thing, they're free to speak openly and honestly without judgment. He then asks this police officer to start, and after a little reluctance, this police officer actually begins to open up a little. And at this point, Kate kind of puts a bit of a smart comment in there about him. The guy's like, do you ever have anything you'd like to say to your mother? And Kate's like, I love you. And at this, Lloyd offers the stick. When I say Lloyd, Alan, this guy from the seminar, Alan Lloyd, he's called, he goes to Kate and he offers the stick to her and manages to manipulate her into taking it by speculating that Kate must have been badly hurt in the past and therefore resists opening up because she's afraid of getting hurt again. And yes, so this all plays into Wolfram and Hart's big bad plan in this episode. We cut over to Angel and Doyle. They're meeting with this informant that Doyle has, who overheard a conversation between Izzy Bagratto's boys and little Tony's boys. He's planning on hitting Kate, and Angel goes immediately to the precinct where Kate starts apologising for being angry with him at the pier, then asks him, if you want to come to my father's retirement party the following night, it would be great. Angel's finally able to warm her to the danger, and you know, there's a hit out on you, and Kate's like, I get it, but he's kind of acting out, isn't he? So there's a real change in her behaviour here in Angel's eyes. From the last time we seen her to now, there's a huge change in the way that she talks and whatnot, and it's just like the sensitivity training must be starting to kick in, more or less, and she's just psychobabbling and promises that she'll be back to her usual level of cynicism soon. This guy Alan that was running the meetings over in wherever he lives at, he meets with this guy Lee from Wolfram and Hart and reports that their plan will yield results after just one more session. Wolfram and Hart are starting to worry that we went to great expense to get you into the police department, and we're not seeing any results yet. And the guy's like, give it time, one more session should do it. So we cut over to the retirement party. This happens the following night. Kate and Angel arrive, and Kate admits that she's nervous but glad that Angel came with her, and Angel assumes that she's worried about little Tony, but she's, it almost seems like she forgot about little Tony, and that death threat hanging over her head, not that there, it's due to the stress of having to speak in public. So Angel, he kind of feels inappropriate remarks after unsettling comments from both Kate and her father. Both. He's like, how long have you been seeing Kate? They were just relatively new friends. There's a new word for you. Angel's like, we're relatively new friends here, and her father's like, I'm glad to see her out with a guy. I was starting to think she was batting for another side altogether. So, again, it's just the relationship between Kate and her father is strained, to say the least. And the way he's talking about her, even in the third person here to Angel, is it's not good. It's not good. But Kate then gets called up to make her speech, and she starts out with a blend of humour and candour, and she then pretty quickly transitions into storms of raw emotion, bringing up subjects that are far too personal and damaging even more to her and her father. For the occasion, just, after her mother died, you couldn't look at me, and, all a little girl needed was the love of her father, and you couldn't even tell me I was pretty and all that sort of stuff. So Angel's standing next to her father at this point, and he's like, what the hell have they done to her in those meetings? And Angel doesn't know what to do at this point, but he overhears Harlan. Harlan speaks up and he encourages Kate to keep talking, and you're brave, keep going. Their lieutenant reprimands both of them, and it becomes clear that he is taking a personal, not a professional stance when he's at it. And Harlan stands up, knocks his boss on the floor, and his boss gets up and the tears are running out of him, and it just gets into like a barroom brawl where they almost go back to childhood versions of themselves at a time. As I say, this lieutenant was up there, this is inappropriate behaviour, wise up, catch yourselves on, and he gets punched in the face, and the two officers take him out, and he's bawling, tears running out of him like a small child. Angel, Trevor grabs an openly weeping lieutenant. Angel, blah, blah, blah. I've lost my notes here. Angel collects a now speechless Kate, takes her back to the office after everything kicks off. Her father, Trevor, takes the lieutenant out and whatnot. Cordelia turns up. She's not happy that Angel called her in at late night. And she's like, it's not fun having to work for she's going to say vampire, but she realises Kate's on there, and instead of saying vampire, she goes ventriloquist. So, yeah, Doyle and Angel are in the inner office where Angel has been trying to ask a detective for the name of the sensitivity trainer. Like, this is obviously where it's all coming from. After Kate tells Angel that she believes he's an old soul who can't possibly be posing as enigmatic just to attract women. You haven't got an insincere bone in your entire body and all that sort of stuff. It's just like the sensitivity training is just like full on at this point. Kate finally gives Angel the memo that she got for the meetings. Angel then hands her over to Doyle and Cordelia to keep an eye on her. And when he goes out hunting for this guy Lloyd, he inspects he gets to his house, lair, or whatever you want to call it, and he's looking for clues as to what happened. Meanwhile, Kate, because the sensitivity training has opened her up to everything, she realises there's a crush between Doyle and Cordelia, and she says, somebody's got a crush. It's just making it really, really uncomfortable for the two of them. And, yeah, Cordelia and Doyle try to convince her, she wants to go out and look for her father. She goes from the upbeat, happy, go lucky, sensitive person to the deeply, not angry, but deeply sad for what's happened between her and her father. She wants to go and find him. And Cordelia and Doyle, they're trying to convince her to stay, but she pulls a gun out of her purse, waves it around. She's like, I don't want to seem like an idiot, like an asshole here, but if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to have to blow you the crap away, but I'm going to go see my father. So that's little things I got there. It's played very well in the episode. Back over with Angel, this guy's Alan's place. This guy Alan launches a standard new age rife about Angel's rage being a mask for his fear. Just as he asks who his parents were, Lloyd snatches the talking stick from the altar where he has it, and he's like, there's not just one demon that gives me my power, it's actually a collection of different ones and whatnot. But he's like, tell me about your parents. Then he lifts the talking stick, hits Angel in the face with it. Of course, Angel goes full vamp at that stage with face changes and whatnot, and he goes, my parents were great, tasted a lot like chicken. So, some dark humour there too, and yes, he gets on there to start threatening this guy. What's the score? What's going on? So we cut over to the police precinct. Kate gets there. She calls for her father, who is no longer there. She stares around at her co-workers. They're all pacing, shouting, weeping, and there's this policeman. He's wishing to establish some sort of, brotherhood between him and the inmates. And he's like, locking them up, so it's wrong. The little ones picking on the big ones picking on the little ones, it makes them worse. When they leave here, they're worse than what they were whenever they went on. So he was down to open up the cells, let them all go, and of course they turn on them, and he's just like, guys, just remember this as, a man reaching out to try and help his fellow man and whatnot, and just as he's saying that, these guys just jump him in the cells, and of course, this is Papazian out as well. So Cordelia, Doyle, they turn up at the front of the police station. Angel comes running at the same time, and yes, we see this guy. There's been a car crash in the street, and there's an officer there, a beat cop, and he's like, you think it's all about you guys, you ever think about me having to deal with people like you and whatnot? I can't even make love to my wife or all this here stuff. You don't understand what I go through, blah, blah, blah. And yes, Angel joins Cordelia and Doyle on the steps of the police department, and they're happy to see him. Immediately begin to report the situation about Kate and what's happening, and sensing their distress, Angel starts this massive grin, and he holds open his arms, and he goes, "Okay, I think someone needs a hug." So he is now under the sensitivity spell from the talking stick as well, and tells them all about it. Yes, the talking stick is possessed. Anybody that touches it falls under its spell, but only lasts for a few days and whatnot. So it's just something to put the. It's not going to be permanently damaging to anybody that this affects, but that's enough to throw the police out of order long enough for Papazian to put into action whatever he wants to do. Yeah, so, Wolfram and Hart hired them, blah, blah, blah. Right, so Cordelia demands that Angel, change the vampire so they can go and rescue Kate. But Angel's just like, he's refusing, and, the change is like every time I change, I feel that you judge me. You all back off from me whenever I go vampire. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So, yeah. In the police station, out of a cell now, little Tony collects a gang of the prisoners in there, breaks into the armory, selecting a shotgun for himself. He puts a shell into it, and he shoots one of the cops coming around the corner, and then leads the way to the front offices to find Kate. He says, "You guys are all working for me now. You'll find him, cruel but fair," as he's taking this guy out. And he gets up there, and he's just about to take out Lockley. He's got the gun trained on her, and Angel's team arrives. There was another little bit of comedy just before that happened, whenever they couldn't get into the main doors of the police station, so they had to break through a window down into the basement and then go up the stairs. And Angel gets in there, and he's like, "We should leave a note." And Cordelia's like, "It's okay, don't worry about it." And he's like, No, it's not hard to be nice and whatnot. And she's like, "Hurry up, come on." And then he's like, "What's the magic word?" And she's like, And he's like, "Well, I don't think is actually a word if one would call it a word." And she's like, "Oh, please," in that condescending manner that she has. And just at that there, Angel's like, "There you are. Was that so hard?" So there is lots of comedy thrown on here. So, yeah. So up in the office, Papazian's got the gun trained in Kate. And, yeah. Angel's team arrives. Angel and Kate try to reach little Tony, Cordelia and Doyle, urge Angel to stop talking and fight. When I say reach, they're trying to talk her way out of the situation. But Angel's got a plan, and he slowly moves closer and closer as little Tony gloats over. My sensitivity training really paid off. And he's like, "I'm dying to see you again, pretty boy," more or less for having gotten caught in the first place. So suddenly, Angel swings the chair he's leaning on, knocking little Tony's shotgun from his hands, and throws the chair and knocks out one of the thugs of it. Kate shoots the other guy. So even though this sensitivity training has kind of taken them out of the game, more or less, they're not out of control of what needs to be done when it comes to the concept of right and wrong. This is a bad guy. He's going to shoot me. I need to protect myself. Angel's there to do his thing, to protect Kate. So the two of them, very swiftly take out the two guns that's with Papazian, and then Papazian gets knocked out as well. So just at that there, Kate's like, "You," and Angel's like, "You," and then they come running across and give each other a hug and whatnot. So Fret has been taken care of at this point, and later on, Tony's on the phone call to Lee over at Wolfram and Hart, who tells him that the senior partners of Wolfram and Hart will no longer represent his interests. little Tony argues that they set everything up. Mercer tells him that they set things up so they could escape. We opened the door for you. The key was for you to walk through it, not shoot your way out of it. Yeah, so he's like, our partnership is dissolved, or our partnership is terminated, just as this phone call is, and he hangs up and pays in. And in the office, you see the surveillance tape footage of what happened in the police barracks, and it freezes on Angel. Yes, of course, he recognises Angel from prior encounters with Wolfram and Hart, namely at this point, trying to recall if there's anything after episode 1 of Wolfram and Hart. But of course, he killed the vampire at the end of the first episode, and we had Lindsay there and whatnot, so you knew Wolfram and Hart are up to something sketchy. And now, at the end of this episode, you see this guy Lee, he's looking at the surveillance tape. He's hit pause on the image of Angel on the screen, and yeah, so they're going to be keeping an eye on him from now on. Back at the police barracks, the next police barracks, that's very Northern Ireland. Back at the police precinct is the next day. All the police are resuming their normal demeanour, and somebody's like, "Good morning." So our guy's like, "Yeah, right." All the sensitivity is gone at this point. Angel comes to check in with Kate. He tells her that he doesn't remember much about the events of the night before. She asks him, "Did I say anything to you last night?" He's like, "I don't really remember much about it." Relieved, she goes on to tell him that Internal Affairs is investigating the blue bar to determine whether someone had spiked the punch. So again, whenever something like we've seen this in Buffy the Vampire Slayer before, whenever something supernatural happens, there's always somewhere along the line somebody will try to make it look like something real worldly was the cause for it. So in this one here, it's not a possessed piece of wood that made everybody go crazy. It's somebody spiked the punch at the party. Agreeing that they both need to get back to work, Angel goes to leave. As he's going through the hallway, he turns and he sees Kate's father turning up. He says that he got her messages in his machine last night. Yeah, Kate kind of has... She acts it very well in this episode. There's a longing in her face for more connection with her father. And she's hoping that he came down just to see her. And Kate, she tries to explain, but that innocent hope that she had in her eyes is quickly devastated as her father stops her and says that, yeah, you should never bring this up again. You humiliated me, and as far as I'm concerned, it never happened. You embarrassed yourself and me in front of all my friends. And he turns and walks away, at which point Kate sits down in her chair and, yeah, trying her hardest to hold back the pain of what her father had just said. And at that, Angel turns and walks out, and we cut to black, and the episode ends. Fantastic little episode. One of these little fun ones that just has a little bit of tongue-in-cheek fun with it, but it has a nice little bit of humour in there as well. Like the whole piece in the office with Kate under the spell and putting Doyle and Cordelia on the spot. The little reference to Star Trek. I'm pretty sure there was something else on there. Like, I appreciated that one, Mr. and Mrs. Spock have to go mind meld now. I'm pretty sure. I'm just looking through here. Is there any references that I missed out on? Let me see. Pop culture references. Yes. Cordelia says at one point she refers to Jar Jar getting his own talk show, which Star Wars, of course. Spock. The only other thing as far as a pop culture reference would be Lee Mercer from Wolf from Heart refers to the infamous detective Mark Furman in the O.J. Simpson murder trial. So, yeah, again, great little episode. And I can't recall, like, I've seen this more than Buffy the Vampire Slayer at this point, but there's bits and pieces of it that are kind of missing in my mind now. Like, this is easily 15 years now since I properly watched Angel and Kate. I know where it's going with her. I just can't recall how we get there. But yes, she's one of these characters that you'd love to have seen hanging about for a long time in the show, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Like, I think her career took off and she went in a different direction. Or I don't know if she was let go or she made the choice to leave. But I feel like that character might have been a bigger character in the right set of circumstances. But for now, she did a fantastic job on it. Elizabeth Rom played Kate. Fantastic. Yeah, I think that is going to do it for this episode, guys. I talked on here a hell of a lot longer than I was expecting to. At this point, you'd probably be quicker actually going and watching the episode yourself. So, yeah, guys, whatever you're doing, I hope you're safe. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.